Hello and welcome to another stream, to another Matura Express English stream. My name is Chris and today we're gonna talk about note-taking skills. So as I've already told you in the introduction, today it's all about the note-taking skills you should have. I'm sorry, I just opened Excel unintentionally. You should have in order to successfully complete the monologue and dialogue, or to basically to support you to complete the dialogue and the monologue. At first, I'm gonna talk about the importance of note-taking. So what it's all about, why do we need note-taking, why should we take notes and why not? Which skills should you acquire for note-taking in the A-level exam? Then we're gonna have a look at a quick overview of the different note-taking methods or skills. Basically, those are more methods that I've listed. And then I'm gonna tell you what are the best methods for the monologue and the dialogue. And at the end, as always, we're gonna show you a demonstration exam and work with it a little bit. So the importance of note-taking. So whatever you're doing, in this case with an article or a book or a book chapter, if you have to read it in order to acquire additional knowledge, or you really need the things that are in the book and all the theory for your exam, you need to take notes somehow. I think it's not possible to remember every detail and important aspects of an article or a book chapter without taking notes, especially when you have an exam on it. Reading for pleasure is something different, but if there is an exam situation involved in, it's quite helpful for you to take notes. And in order to attain your goals in taking notes, you should be aware that taking notes helps you to structure your monologue and dialogue for your exam, of course. It's really, really easy to make such notes in a structured way. It's really easy to acquire the skills, actually. And it actually helps you to avoid blackouts, since you're allowed to use a sheet of paper or your notes. It also helps you to summarize the given thoughts, the theories of an article, or any maybe their philosophies that underlie the theories that are mentioned in the article or treated in the article. And then it's very helpful to be able to summarize it properly. It helps you to reduce the tension, which goes hand in hand, of course, with the notes you have written down. And it helps you to stay focused on the most important aspects. Of course, that's just the things that go hand in hand with note-taking and the notes you can use for your monologue and dialogue, which makes it a lot easier than learning something by heart. But which skills should you acquire? It's basically I've written down some of the skills or some of the things you have to keep in mind, basically, if there are skills or not. We can discuss on it, but at first, it's really important to read for the gist of an article, which is the main message of an article. So normally the headline also gives away some of the main gist of the topic, but of course you have to read it and be able to summarize every paragraph, maybe, or we're gonna talk about it later. So you should also note the name of article and the publisher, which is a skill very easy. Just scanning for names and articles, names and publishers and dates and so on. You should be able to evaluate important assertions and statements, since if you're not able to recognize an important statement, it's going to be hard for you to find out the main statement or main message of an article or of a paragraph, of a single paragraph. You should be able to provide your own opinion on the topic and use keywords. Yeah. That's something I noted down here. Do not note unimportant information, word by word transcriptions of the article, and whole sentences, which is quite it's an important information, but not that important. So I think it's quite logical that you shouldn't note unimportant information or a whole sentence or something, to enable you to do it fast. So the different methods, actually, you might know some of them, and we're gonna start with the mind maps, but there are also bullet points. For example, there is labeling, there is also sorry, using abbreviations and so on, but we discuss everything now in those following slides. So the mind map basically helps you to think about the main aspects of an article or a topic of an article, and helps you to divide it into smaller parts. And I'm gonna show you how a mind map looks if it's finished, or how you could create a mind map. Be sure to work accurately when you're using a mind map. There's nothing more important, I think, if you draw something and write something in a bubble in this case or something like this. So work accurately and maybe use different colors to just make it a bit more exciting to work with it. So the advantages of the mind map is the clear layout, and it is really easy to create. Although it takes longer than just writing down notes, of course. So you have to be aware of the time issue, and you don't have that much time. So maybe you should just practice it at home if you think, or if you learn or can summarize with mind maps in a better way. So practice it as always. And that's how a mind map, in this case of the topic communication and media, could look like. That's just an explanation actually for you. I've created it. Of course, yours should look differently because you normally don't summarize just topics. You also have to summarize an article with it or something like this. In this case, it's summarized in mass media, and mass media is a subcategory. The subcategory of mass media is television, and of course, documentaries, current affair programs. Really easy. Bullet points. What are bullet points? Those are the little things here. Again, you only note the most important keywords. Don't write whole sentences. Yeah, and use indents, and advantages, of course, are easy to create. Bullet points are easy to create, fast, clear layout, again with the mind map, same. And of course, the disadvantages is that the layout isn't as clear as the mind map layouts. Could lead to confusion, but I think if it's created somehow in a proper way, it's gonna be a clear layout too. Mind maps. Oh, I've written here. I've written it again. So I have to take it out. So other things I've mentioned, which I really like, and then oh no, are highlighting and color codes, which is a very easy thing to do, but I think you have to prepare it really well so that you can work quite fast. So you have different colors, for example, and different colors represent different aspects. In this case, orange represents people, green events, yellow places, terms, blue, red effects, and navy blue or dark blue, in this case, causes. Then you can either highlight it or just underline it with this color. In this case, you read about a famous person that is really important for the article, and then you're gonna underline it with an orange color. Of course, the same goes with events, places, and so on and so on. Once you have done it, you have a big, you have an awesome overview over every different aspect you find important, and then you can pick it out and write it out. And of course, you can use symbols and abbreviations to summarize. So maybe you want to depict the wedding. Simple example. You just use 2 rings or something, or something different. It doesn't matter. But you have to find out what the best thing is for you to do. Either you use symbols or abbreviations, highlighting or color codes, and of course abbreviations. You can use what you like. You can come up with some, but you have to know the code in this case. Yeah. So I've tried to come up with the best note-taking methods for the monologue and dialogue, and I thought that the monologue can be best described, or the note-taking skills you or methods you have to have for the monologue is that you should use methods that support you in summarizing the given topic. So, for example, you have the topic of environment, and task 1 is about a Greenpeace activist that holds a talk about something, and then you have your 3 bullet points, and then you have to somehow remember what is the topic about, summarize some things you know, maybe make mind maps in this case, and bullet points, which are, I think, best to illustrate a topic somehow. And then I think you're good to go for the monologue. And for a dialogue, of course, where you have to use or reference to an article, it's a bit more difficult, and you have to practice it beforehand, I think. You become way faster in summarizing an article. And in this case, note-taking methods. You need note-taking methods that support the summarizing support you in summarizing the article. In this case, I think symbols and abbreviations, highlighting and color codes are best. And of course, if you want to search the article for a specific thing, then you just read through the article and until you find it, of course. That's called skimming or scanning. No, scanning, I'm sorry. Now we're gonna have a look at the demonstration exam of note-taking skills. Well, I've mentioned, or I listed here again, you should start with a short brainstorming for the monologue. You can also use a mind map, as I've already told you, for the ideas of the monologue. And then continue for the dialogue. You should work basically with a technique that works best for you, of course, as always. Read the article carefully, highlight, find out what the main argument is or main statement is, and add your own knowledge, of course. In this case, we have an example oral exam about sports and recreation, in this case, sport and modern lifestyle. In this case, or this article, basically the main statement of the article is healthy living doesn't only take being active and eating healthy, but also the right DNA. Then you add your own knowledge. For example, doing sports helped me stay more focused through the day. Help me or helps me, yeah, it doesn't matter. This is the article. Hope it's still a valid URL. Yes. And you can already find it out. Sometimes there is something written in bold, so you can find it out, a lot of aspects in there. And then, of course, there are several things you need to consider. So there are bullet points you might consider this for being important, of course, and try to find out the main statement of the most important paragraphs, basically, and then it's really easy to find the statement or the main statement of the article, or main statements, of course. Yeah. Oh, in this case, I'm gonna show you the exam for a bit. Yeah, it starts off with the task 1. Already talked about it somehow, what we really want to talk about now is the importance of a healthy lifestyle. In this case, we have already taken a look at this article, and of course what you have to consider too is that you should only use the information from the attached text or additional information, as well as your own ideas. That's very important. So not only your own, but also additional information from the text. And yeah, that's basically it about the note-taking skills. As always, if you have any questions concerning the practice of note-taking, do we have any questions?
No, we don't.
Unfortunately, we don't have any questions. So I leave you with that, and we're gonna see each other on Wednesday, I guess. Have a good night, and yeah, until Wednesday.